another patriot. We have to remember that all of these people are patriots. They're here for our country.
Go for it.
Okay. Does this work? All right. I'm really here today to respect each and every one of you as an individual expression of Great Spirit, God, the unified field, whatever you want to call it. And in that expression of who we are, we're all learning to see things differently and to stand and take action from how we're guided. So, does that work?
Yeah.
I am, just by a show of hands, how many are concerned that they're going to lose their method of employment for having the vaccines? Okay, and how many are concerned about their children not being able to go to school because of the vaccines? And how many are concerned that they might lose medical care because they don't get the vaccine and they won't get to the hospital? So I'm just going to share a little bit about my story. Is I used to be very much in the corporate world in Toronto, and in 1991 I was by that standard in my 20s, I was making all the money, I had all the house, the things and all that, but I was diseased and I was disordered. And I had this inner guidance, and each one of you has this inner guidance, a gut feeling, this inner knowing within you. And I'm going to encourage you to trust to follow it, because at that particular time, when everybody thought I was on the course of my, having set up for the rest of my life, I felt like it was time for me to leave, and I took off and headed to Eastern and Southern Africa. And I've never engaged in that system again as an employee, because I started to see a different world over there in Eastern and Southern Africa. I saw people had love and heart and community and connection. And they were filled with possibility and abundance when it seemed to me like they had nothing. And this is where I feel we're all moving to, is we're all coming together in new and innovative ways. And we're being organized by our inner guidance. And we're finding each other in the way we want to find each other. So then, when I was on all the medication and I was diseased and thought that was going to be the rest of my life, I was introduced to a concept that mind-body medicine. And in the beginning, like a lot of people that I was just like, I don't agree with any of that. So when you say to someone, do you know that the vaccine can harm you? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's the best thing, just take it. Right? You're like talking to a wall. Right? There's just no... So I was like that once. But that conversation about that started to work its way in my soul, in my being. And that's what all of you are doing when we're out there talking. They might ignore you and they feel like it's, see no, hear no, don't hear that, but something's working inside them. They may wake up in time and they may not. So, as I started to go on this venture, I then had children, and I was told I could never have children because of the medication I was on. And 3 weeks before my first was born, I saw a book that said what every parent should know about childhood immunization. And I thought, that's a good book to get. And when I started to read the book, there was formaldehyde, thimerosal, and aluminum listed. Now I was going to do extended breastfeeding, organic food, no sugar, no dairy. Thimerosal, formaldehyde, and mercury, it gave me that moment to take a pause. And so when I went, 5 days old, I had my baby, and the doctor says, well, you'll be back in 2 months to vaccinate her. And I said, well, I don't know. I've just learned some new information. And you say, well, if you don't, she won't get to go to school. So I know what that fear feels like. It's like, ooh, she's 5 days old, she's brand new, she's beautiful, she's awesome, and now they're projecting what's going to happen in 5 years from now. And I had to trust again. I had to go one step at a time, and that's what I'm encouraging all of you to do, is just take one step at a time. There's so many people out there that are going to telling us what's going to happen next month, in 3 months, in 3 years. But truly, there's infinite possibilities that exist. I raised my children without any vaccines, okay? I trusted that process. And then they were in school, in a spiritual school, sort of a Waldorf school. It was different. But in grade 3 and in kindergarten, I was guided to pull them out of that school. I'm not a teacher. I didn't know how I was going to manage it and still be self-employed. But I had great trust that what I was being guided to do, there would be answers. And if you knew all the things that I've experienced, and I could download it into your brains, you would all be so empowered to just go out there and trust what you feel, to say no when you say no, and say yes when you say yes, and know when one door closes, another opens. My kids got into university. They didn't have any, transcripts or anything like that. But doors open, and this is the world we're moving to. It's kind of like a caterpillar to a butterfly. So in March 2020, the whole world was forced into the chrysalis. And a lot of people went kicking and screaming. Some were like, okay, they didn't mind a few weeks taking it out, taking a break from life. But as you can see, your consensus reality, the one that says, have a child, get vaccinated, put him in school, get a job, get a house, get a mortgage, put your money in your RSPs, get your tax-free savings account, do all these things, and trust the government is working for you. It doesn't matter, does it, who's in power? Every government has fucked you. Oh, whoops, sorry, children. Right? Right. So, government is supposed to be we the people for the people. And each of you are the people. Each of you have a heart. I hope. Check. But that's the sense even in Native, the sound of the drum. The sound of the drum is like the beat of your heart, the beat of Mother Earth. And each of us have a role to play in this great transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. How it's going to be being a free being, like completely free, at this point for some of you may seem mind-boggling and impossible to comprehend, because you're still attached to some of the old ways of being and you want somebody else to fix it. To be a butterfly, you gotta trust. And you gotta be able to trust what you feel and know that your heart's desires and your passions and your gifts are there for you to follow. And in that process, as we all work together, we are magically coming together in amazing ways. And you know what that feels. You see each other, you meet people at the marches, at the rallies, online, and you're like, wow, where were you my whole life? Because you feel like a soul brother, soul sister. So I want to encourage you that my life has worked out beautifully, and from all my experiences, I can share that my kids were raised off the medical system. Completely. They may have gone to the doctor once or twice. I moved them into alternative and complementary, and then for a while I started to think, well, even that, I'm the one that's paying the money to go to the acupuncture, the body matrix repatterning, the Reiki. I am the one that's taking responsibility, but I'm still paying for all this. And I felt like there must be a way that health is just natural. And I can tell you that I've traveled with medical doctors and scientists that live and verify that healings can exist. And so I'm going to give you a couple of simple little tools for as you're encountering and you're standing for your freedom and you're standing for your right to express your heart's desires and create the life you want, and you're hit what it seems like with a brick wall. Is we want to reframe. So the reframe is, how could that brick wall or how could that closed door be working for you? Right? What could that door that's closing seem to be revealing to you? And if you open your hands, if everybody just opens up the palm of your hand, if you can, put your phones in your pocket, and just take your hands out as if you know that there's a magical gift coming your way. As you start to tune in to infinite possibilities, But it's kind of like a couple weeks ago, there was a bunch of us that went down the river up near Miramichi tubing. Some of us were in single tubes. Some of us were in tubes that were two together. Some of us had the coolers attached. We were all going down the stream for 4 hours. Yet every one of us had a different experience going down that stream. Some were going down the rapids where others were stuck on the rocks. And every one of you is having a different experience. And consensus reality over here has been saying you're going to do it the same way all the time. And that's what's breaking up. Think about social media. Each one of you has a different social media preference and people you follow. And that's how the world is going. Unfortunately, the world in a sense is built on an IBM PC with floppy disks. And there's no way you can take the information from cloud computing and stick it on a hard drive of whatever it used to be, whatever, 256K, whatever the thing was, and floppies. It's a disconnect. It's impossible to happen. So those systems that you've been putting your belief and power in and faith are all breaking apart. And in the process, you're going to discover who you truly are and what you're really capable of. And right now, it's kind of like caterpillar. It doesn't realize it's a can't go back, but you're still seeing the limitations. If you can open up and start to see the possibility, I guarantee you, every single one of you is going to have your best whole new world. Trust and believe, open and receive, and the magic will begin to occur in your life. Thank you.
Thank you.